Hi, my name is Cindy and I'm here to teach you how to take better pictures of your cakes using your phone. Yes, I will be teaching you where to find ideas from, how to style, what kind of backgrounds, what kind of props to use, what kind of lights to use, how to position your lights, and most importantly, how to edit your photos to look bright, clear, and crisp. Now, before we dive into it, before we get into activities, I would like to introduce to you Cindy Props, which is a company that I own. And what we do is we help small business owners and content creators with photography tools and equipment to help them improve on their online content. What am I talking about? I'm talking about lights, backdrops, tripods, props, anything you can think of that content creators use to create content. So I hope that you'll be able to patronize us after this lesson. What kind of props and backgrounds should you use for your cake photography? Well, there are lots of them. There are lots of them. If we begin to start, we will not finish. But there are just a few tips I'm going to give you. Is you would need to study your competition, not just locally, even internationally. People that are in your niche, what kind of backgrounds they use, what kind of props they use. From there, you'll be able to decide on which one you would like to go, because there are different concepts to cake photography. There's the bright cake photography and there's the dark cake photography. Not just cakes, but including snacks, pastries, and all of that, which we're going to talk about. However, we at Cindy Props, we do have our recommendations, like a starter pack, what you should get at first when you want to start your cake photography. We do have that. I'm sure it's showing somewhere on the screen. You see that what we recommend for starters. But if there are other things that you like, feel free to add. There is no limit to these things. If you want to use this, feel free to use it. If you want to use that, feel free to use it. If you are confused, well, we have a starter pack to help you, or you study other brands, what they use primarily. So I'm going to start with backgrounds, because that is even most important. Props come second, because once you place your beautiful cake on the background, everything just looks almost complete. So as for the background, we have different kinds. So I'm going to push on to the first one, which is called the PVC backdrop. This is a PVC backdrop. It comes in plain colors. You can see it. Plain colored backdrops, and it comes in two sizes. This is the small size and there's a big size. The big size is most appropriate for cake photography, because I wouldn't really know the size of cake that you're using or you're trying to shoot, so it's safer to buy a bigger size backdrop. Ideally, the colors that bakers use for plain PVC backdrops is white, black, and gray. But that doesn't mean you're not allowed to use other colors. I'm just saying the colors that are mostly used by bakers. How do you hang the PVC? You can either use a backdrop stand, which is this. You just clip your PVC to it, You could use a backdrop stand. Cindy Props sell it. The backdrop stand fits for small size PVC and big size PVC. Remember, the big size is most appropriate. Or you could use a nano tape. If you use a nano tape, it's just a tape that you put at the edges of your backdrop and stick to a wall, and then you have your table beside the wall and it flows down like that. So you either use a nano tape or a backdrop stand. You can find nano tape at Cindy Props as well. Cindy Props on Instagram. Now, moving forward to the different types of background, we also have the double-sided paper backdrop. The double-sided paper backdrop is this. It's really cool, right? It is made of paper. While the PVC backdrop is waterproof, this one is also waterproof, but you just have to be really careful. Now, what kind of design should you use? Because there are different kinds of paper backdrop designs. There are different kinds, loads of them. So I noticed that bakers love to use the white marble design kind, or the ones that are dark looking. So the easy way to use it is to paste it on the wall. Now, if you're pasting it on the wall and your cake is like big in size, you most likely need to use two of these on the wall side by side. You just paste it on the wall or on your backdrop. Put it side by side. Clip two backdrops together and use one of this on the table. So you probably most likely need 3 paper backdrops to take your cake pictures. We're going to put that in practice. So like I said, there are different designs to the paper backdrops. You can check us at Cindy Props for all of the designs available. But I noticed that the white marble kind or the cement design or dark looking kind are what bakers use. The other kind of backdrop is the backdrop board. it is a board that comes with two different faces. So all you need to do is to just clip it on each other. You don't need a wall, you don't need a backdrop stand, you just clip it on each other and it stays like that on the table. It is very mobile, you can set it up anywhere. So many people prefer to use this a lot because it's easy to set up. You don't have to be clipping it on the backdrop stand, you don't need a backdrop stand, you don't need to be putting it on the wall. You just put it, fix it on together this way and then take your picture. So there are lots of designs that it comes with, and it comes in different sizes as well. There's a smaller size to this one is a 60 by 60 centimeter. There's a smaller size which is 40 by 40 centimeter, and there's a bigger size which is about 80 by 100 centimeters. Yes, you can check them all out on Simbi Props, Simbi_props on Instagram. So that is that about backdrops for cake pictures. And we've talked about the stand for cake, for backdrops. This is the stand you can get. It's called a T stand to clip your backdrops against a table, or you use a nano tape to the wall. Yes, this is what a nano tape looks like. This is what a nano tape looks like. All you just need to do is to cut out a chunk with the scissors, and then you duck it to the wall and tape your backdrop against a table. Now that we've talked about backdrops and we've talked about how to get ideas on what props to buy, if you look at your other people pages, other people in your niche, you could also check out Pinterest. Pinterest is very popular, and it's a popular app that people go there to search for, brainstorm, or search for ideas. So if you need more ideas on how to style your cakes, you go to Pinterest. You search for cake photography, like you literally type it out, cake product photography, meat pie product photography, pastries product photography. You search for that, and then everything comes out. You see different ideas, you see different styles, and from there you can come up with a style of your own using the kind of props that you have available to you. That is what I do. I don't just wake up and ideas comes to my head. Now, what kind of lights can you get? Now, you need to start with at least 2 lights. That is important. If you say you want to use 1 light, well, yeah, it's manageable, but it will not give you the result, the desired result. So you need to start with at least 2 lights. But what kind of light should they be? One should be a softbox. Softboxes look differently, but as long as it is a softbox, you should get it. And there are different kinds of softbox. There are some that are not so bright, some are bright. This one in particular comes this way. So if you see a softbox like this, feel free to buy it. And if you see softboxes that come with bulbs, buy the one that comes with at least 4 bulbs. Buy the ones that uses at least 4 bulbs. That way you know that you're getting a bright light. Now, one of your lights should be a softbox. If you decide to use 2 softboxes for your 2 forms of light, it's fine. It's okay, as long as it's 2 lights that you're using. So if you decide to use 2 softboxes, it's great. If you decide to make one of the lights a softbox and the second light a LED light, it is also fine. This is what a LED light looks like. You see, this is what a LED light looks like. So you need to start with at least 2 light sources, 1 softbox and 1 LED light, or it could be 2 softboxes, but not 2 LED lights. You know why? Because LED lights are very strong lights. They are harsh lights. They are very strong lights. So food, cakes, pastries do not need harsh lights. They need soft lights, and soft boxes fall in that range. Now, what other light is a soft light? A ring light is also a soft light, but a ring light that is 18 inches and above is also a soft light. So I'm sure you have that question in mind. What about ring lights? You can use ring lights too, but I don't highly recommend it because sometimes it's not as effective, yeah, because of that whole low shape reflection it gives on some products. But you can use a ring light which is 18 inches or 22 inches or 23 inches in place of the second light or in place of a softbox. Or you can use 2 ring lights, it depends. So ring lights and softboxes are soft lights. You can use that, or you can use 1 softbox, 1 soft light and 1 hard light, or you can use 2 soft lights. Hard lights are LED lights. Good. If at all you're using 2 lights, 1 soft light and 1 LED light, 1 hard light, and you're not getting the desired result, feel free to add 1 more light. It could be any type of light. Feel free. The reason why I say you need 2 lights for starters is because so many of you are always are on a budget. So starting with two lights gives you an edge, and you can always adjust or cover up for lapses in editing. But if still you're not getting the quality that you want, feel free to add one more light. It could be a soft light or a LED light, it doesn't really matter. But as long as one of your light sources is a soft light, it balances up the harshness that the hard light gives your cake. Now, another question that I usually get asked is, what kind of phone can one use to take good pictures? Well, there's all sorts of phones out there, and I cannot specifically tell you one device to buy. But what I can advise is try to buy high-end phones, high-end brands, high-end phones. Like, for example, a high-end brand releases a phone that is new in the market, and the phone is high end, because phone brands these days, they make series of phones so as to sort everybody's level or sort everybody's budget. But the high end ones are usually better. So when you buy high end brand and high end phones in their categories, you get better quality in your photos and your videos. How do you position your lights? You can see that I have clipped the big size PVC against a backdrop stand. Like I said, the popular colors Bakers uses white, gray, and black. But that doesn't mean you're not allowed to use any other colors. Now, how do you position your lights when you have only two lights? Here is a softbox and here is a LED light. Well, it's simple. You place your softbox directly on the side, like this, directly on the side. And then your LED lights will be in front, not exactly in front, but like in between the front and the side. The LED light will be in between the front and the side. That's where it will be shining on your cake. Now, while you do this, you will need the help of a bounce card. It is important. So this is what a bounce card looks like. It's just like a book. It's white inside, black outside on one side, and silver on another side. So it comes in different sizes. There's the A3 size and the A4 size. I recommend that you get the A3 size because it's bigger and it's better for cakes. So this is how it is. So what you do is to place it on the other side here to cover up for any darkness that is going to happen or going to occur. So here is how our setting is. We have our softbox directly on the side, and facing it opposite is a bounce card, and then we have a LED light, LED 800. This is a LED 800, right at a 45-degree angle, and then we're going to place our cake, and then we're going to start taking pictures. What is the purpose of the bounce card? The purpose of the bounce card is so that there is no darkness on the other side of the photo. The other side of the photo where the softbox is facing, you see. So the bounce cards reflect light back to the cake right in the middle. So there's a balance, while the LED light just shines overhead onto the cake. So as you can, there's going to be balanced lighting, and of course our lights will shine in front to illuminate the front of the cake. That's what the bounce card does. It just makes sure it's not so dark on this side, because light is coming from one side and it's coming overhead at the top here. How do you achieve dark mode photography? Cake, food, pastries. Well, in that case, you would need only one light source. Only one light. And that light is not going to be so bright. It's just going to be minimal. And then you will need dark backgrounds. Majority of the work for dark food, dark cake photography comes in the editing. It's not in the taking of picture, but in the editing. But you make sure that when you take the picture, it literally has to be dark, but not so dark like that. We're going to go through the process, but I just needed to touch on this. And I also want to show you how to position your lights if you are taking flat lay shots for food, for pastries, etc. Like you want to take flat lay pictures. Like I said, you only need one light source for dark tone photography. But if you want a bright tone photography, you'll be using like at least 2 lights or more. This is the typical settings for a dark mode food photography or a flat lay food photography. Now, I'm using a dark mode as an instance. Even if it is a bright mode, this is how you place it. Now, you have your softbox overhead at the top because your picture is going to be taken this way. You're standing literally right here taking your picture, and there has to be a light shining from above. It's important. It gives a really a better effect in your photos. And then you need a bounce card. Well, in the case of a flat lay shot, a big size A3 bounce card is not good enough. You need a smaller size bounce card, perhaps an A4 size bounce card, which you will place on this part. So you have to get a chair, you have to get a chair which you will stand on, and then you take your pictures with your key light shining from the top. Your key light is the brightest light shining from the top. You have a bounce card at the bottom, and you snap your pastry or your bread loaves or your cake loaves. So that is the basic, the simple light positioning for dark toned. Now, if it is a bright tone photography, of course, you wouldn't be using a dark background, right? You'll be using a bright looking background, and you'll be using two light source, but you would replace your bounce card with a second light source. So you can either place the light source in any position on the side, or you place it here. But because I'm standing here for a bright toned or bright picture food photography, I'll place any of my lights, the second light, on either side. So let me run through that again. For dark toned photography, for dark mood photography, you need a dark background, you need one light source. Typically, when you even turn it on, it's not going to be so bright, you can reduce it. And then you need a bounce card at the bottom, right, to reflect light. And then you stand and take your shot. While in a bright mood food photography, you need to add one light source. Do away with the bounce card, add one more light source on either side of the table. But your key light has to be overhead, like literally at the top of your photo, coming shining down. Then you take your shot for flat lay food photography. So let's talk about phone settings, to ensure that your phone is in the right settings. And let me explain to you certain parts of your phone settings when you need them, etc. So here's my camera. I open it up, and then I have all sorts of things at the top, all sorts of things at the bottom. Now, this is an Android phone, right? Now, there are just quite a few things that I need you to notice. The first one here is the frame, the picture frame. At the top here, I have 3x4, 3x4, 9x16, 1x1. This particular one. Now, what it means is that if I want to take a picture now, and I know that I'm going to post it on Reels, I'm going to use 9x16. If I know I'm going to post it on on Instagram feed, I'm going to select 3x4 frame. Selecting 3x4 frame reduces the size frame. You see, when I change it to 9x16, you see that it is now a bigger frame size. You see that I changed it to 3x4. It is now a smaller frame size. So if you're taking pictures for Instagram, you want to post on Instagram, you change it to 3x4. If you want to post on the Reels, you change it to 9x16. If you want to post on Instagram and Reels, you have to snap two different pictures. Now, secondly, when you go to settings of the picture, ensure that your auto HDR is turned on. Ensure that it is turned on. Ensure your HDR is turned on, and be familiar with the frames that you're shooting with. And for iPhones, some of you have this frame there, some of you don't have. Some of you, iPhone 11 upwards, you're going to see an arrow pointing downwards at this corner or this corner. I'm not exactly sure. So you just type on the arrow and it shows you the different frame, 3x4, 4x, 9x16, and etc. Now, for iPhones below iPhone 11, you don't see it at all. So you just use your default camera size. You don't need to change anything. Now, the auto HDR, you have to go to your settings in your phone. That's for iPhone users. Go to your settings in your phone, right? Then go to camera, the camera settings, through your settings in your phone. Then you find smart HDR there. Turn it on, and then you're good to go. So I googled cake for product photography on Pinterest, and I was able to find a few pictures that I draw inspiration from that I would love to recreate. So starting from the first one, which will be on a white background, I had to clean off my background well with wet wipes. The PVC backdrop is waterproof. And then I brought in my cake. See, that cake, and it's a long story. It's a long story. Let's just manage it like that. Now, I brought in my softbox. Remember, I taught you positioning of your light. So softbox on the side, and then the LED lights in between the front and then the side, 45 degrees angle. So I'm turning everything on, and you can see how bright and good looking it's coming together. You can see that softbox on the right hand side, directly on the side of the cake, while the LED light is at 45-degree angle. Then I brought in my bounce card and placed it so that there will be no shadow on the other side of the cake. And this is just perfect. Looking at it alone, you will know that this picture is going to be gang. Now, and I added a tablecloth because I felt it was just too empty, and this is the setup. Now I placed my phone on the tripod and I'm about to take pictures. But to take pictures, I need to show you what you need to do to acknowledge. Remember, we talked about the photo frame. The purpose of this my own photo, I want to post it on Reels. So I'm going to use 9 by 16. I'm not going to use 3 by 4. 3 by 4 is if you want to post it on your Instagram page. Now, some of you, you will just, put your tripod, then you not even tap, you just snap like that. Some you tap and snap. Tapping is to create focus, but let me show you what to do. You tap to create on the cake to create focus, and then you increase exposure. You see that small bright thing at the bottom of the tapping? That's what you do. You see it, you increase the exposure, you see that the picture becomes bright, and then you snap. For iPhone users, you see like a sunlight, you just drag it up. So look at it before increasing exposure, look at it after increasing exposure. You see that there is a difference. So always try as much as possible to increase exposure before you take your shot. Set focus, increase exposure, and take your shot. You could use any tripod, but that's the tripod that I'm using. There are lots of tripod in the market. You can ask us at Simbi Props. Now here's my settings, and I also want to try to take the cake picture on a dark background. We talked about dark toned photography, right? So I'm pasting my dark background. I'm using a paper tape because my wall is smooth. If your wall is rough, you would need a nano tape so that your backdrop would hold. Then I'm setting up everything. I'm arranging everything. Remember, I said you could use 2 backdrops on the wall. In my case, my cake is small, so I'm using just 1 backdrop. Now I set my softbox, same thing that I did with the white background when I was taking it. I set my softbox directly on the side, and then it's a dark tone photography, so I'm reducing my light to the minimal. I'm not taking the light to the brightest. Then I go ahead and turn off the light in the room. We need everywhere to be as dark as possible. And then I introduce my bounce card. You're not using a second light source, you're only using 1 light, and then it's time to take a picture. Sometimes I use tripod, sometimes I use my hand. Remember, now you zoom in to 1.5. I think I failed to mention that. I always zoom in on my pictures, but I do not exceed 1.5. I zoom in to 1.5 and then tap, increase exposure, and snap. But because it's a dark mood photography, I zoom in to at most 1.5. I tap on the cake to create focus, and then I reduce exposure. I don't increase it because I'm trying to make everywhere as dark as possible. So you see, I tap, I reduce the exposure, right? I tap, I reduce the exposure, and then I snap. For bright tone product photography, you tap and increase exposure. Don't forget to zoom in so that everything is covered. Now we're doing flat lay food photography, food or snacks. So now for dark toned food photography, food, pastry, cake, loaves, you can see that I used a dark background. I arranged my food. I followed the style on Pinterest that I saw. You can see how I positioned the softbox, overhead, and then I put a bounce card at the other side, so I'll be able to snap from the other side. And one most important thing, always clean your phone lens. It is important. Whatever it is that you do it frequently. Now see how I position my phone to take a flat lay shot. That is how to take flat lay shots. I zoom in, I reduce exposure, I take a picture, and you see my results. The photo is not so bright, but it is good enough. Now the rest will be in editing. I see you. And we will be editing one of these pictures so that you get to understand how to edit. The app that we're using is called Snapseed. Snapseed. Snapseed app is available on Play Store and Apple Store. So I'm gonna go to the app. Look at it here at the top here, Snapseed. That's it. So I'll tap on it, and this is what you see once you open it. Then I'm gonna tap on the plus sign to take me into the files on my phone to go and select a picture to edit. That's the other one. Okay, this one is sharper, the other one is blurry. Now we're gonna look at Snapseed as a country, and in every country there are states, just like Nigeria, 36 states, and in each state there are different cities, different areas, etc., etc. So we're going to look at Snapseed that way. Now down here below are, what's it called, they are filters, and I wouldn't want you to touch on those because they are for just personal pictures. So what we're going to do is to go to tools, this part, tools. We're going to tap on tools, and that's where we're going to see all of the states in that country. All of the states in the country called Snapseed. Now there are a lot of things going on here. Yes, I'm sure, I'm aware of that, but we're going to touch up on the most important things to note, what I use frequently, what you need to know for starters, beginners, and intermediate. So we're going to start with tune image. That's that at the top right there. So I'm going to tap on tune image, and then it takes me into tune image. But just before then, let me cancel and go back. Now the rules of editing is you don't just blind edit like that. No, you have to identify things that you need to fix in your picture. In my own case now, my background is not evenly white. The colors of my cake is not popping enough, and I just need it to be sharper. And probably if I can fix this smudge is quite a lot, but I'll try and see if I can fix it. If not, then we'll just pass. There's so much Snapseed can do. So we go to tools, and then we'll start with tune image, right? So that's where we're going to start with tune image. So I'm going to tap on tune image. If I press down on the screen and swipe up, I'm going to see lots and different kinds of features, right? So we have brightness, contrast, saturation, ambience, highlight, shadows, warmth. So I'm going to explain each of one of them. Now, before I go into that, I want us to understand editing as cooking. When you start cooking, you add your ingredients in little quantities, so that they can all add up together and actually taste great. That is how editing is. You add in little quantities so that at the end of the day, at the end of your editing, your picture looks good. But if you start adding in so much quantity, your picture is going to look over edited at the end of the day. So we will start with press down, swipe up and down. You see that as I'm moving the blue bar, the top here also changes. So let's start with brightness. Brightness. We all know the meaning of brightness is to increase the brightness of a picture. Now, all of these features, it's not a must that you use everything. But that is why it is important to understand what each feature means, so you know if you need it or not. There are some pictures you take, sometimes they are bright enough, you don't need brightness. So I'm going to increase the brightness of this to a little. Increasing it, I'm sliding to the right. You can see the top here, the blue bar. I'm sliding to the right by increasing. You see that? So I'll just slide to number 10. Yes, I'm going to do number 10. Now, there's something that I also need you to note. I have a threshold when I edit, and I try as much as possible not to exceed 30, no matter what the case is. But editing is highly personal preference. So I can edit something now, we have the same picture, and we're not going to edit it alike. So I can stop at 5, I can stop at 10, I can stop at 15, you can stop at 20. It depends on your personal preference. But for me now, my brightness, I'm going to put it to 10. And then I take my contrast. Now, what is the meaning of contrast? Contrast means dark colors becomes darker, while bright colors becomes brighter. So if I increase it, you're going to see what's going on. The darker colors becomes darker, the brighter colors becomes brighter. So if you see a positive change in any feature, feel free to add it. But if you don't see a positive change of any feature to your picture, Kindly disregard. I don't see a positive change to mine, so I'm just going to leave it at 0. So the next one, saturation. Saturation is the beautiful one. I often use it. It's about colors. It intensifies colors. So it makes green greener, pink pinker, yellow yellower, and all of that. So the colors in the picture are going to become more intense. So watch while I slide to the left. You can see how blue becomes more intense, pink becomes more intense, right? And you know I have a threshold, so I'm going to leave it at what? My threshold, which is 30. Okay. 30. Good. Beautiful. Now the next one is ambience. Ambience is, the meaning of ambience is contrast plus saturation. I don't see the need to use ambience again when we have already added contrast and saturation individually, so I'm going to leave ambience out. Highlight is a beautiful and perfect one. Highlight deals with white colors. It makes your white whiter, so I am going to increase it a bit so that the white background becomes whiter. Remember I said that my backgrounds are uneven, right? The colors are uneven, so I'm just making my white whiter here. So all of the white colors here are just going to become whiter. So I leave it at my threshold 30. If it's too much, I can reduce it, but I love what I'm seeing, so that's why I put it at my threshold, which is 30. The next one is shadows. What does shadows do? Shadows removes dark corners in the picture. It doesn't remove shadows, but if there are darkness going on in your picture, there are dark corners, it just lightens it up. So, well, naturally, for this picture, there are dark corners in this picture at the top right corner, the left, and all of that. So I'm just going to increase it a little so that the dark corners are lightened up a bit. And lastly, we have warmth. Warmth just makes your picture yellowish. It gives you a tint, yellow tint, and that's a no-no for our product picture. So that's that for all of these things. So if you don't understand any of this, please kindly rewind and watch again. So I'm going to tap on the check mark, and we're done with tune image. Now, before I proceed to the next one, after tapping on tools, which is details, there's a way for you to know your progress of things. If you are actually making progress, you're doing a good work or not. So you just press down on the photo. This is what it is before, and this is what it is now. So we're actually making little progress. So the next one, after tune image, which is this one, we're going to go to details. So I'm tapping on details, and then we're seeing this. Good. So what is details about? Details strictly has two features: structure and sharpening. Structure and sharpening. So what does structure mean? Structure strictly means that it brings out details in your picture. What does details means? It means any roughness, any patterns, any design, any design going on. If you're into food, whatever texture is on your cake, whatever design you've placed on your cake, it becomes more enhanced, so you get to see more of the designs. Whatever roughness is going on in your background or etc., you're going to see more of it when you increase your structure. So I'm seeing more of the cream at the top of the cake, the swirl cream that was placed on the top of the cake. I'm beginning to see more of it. Before it was just like dull, but as I increase it, I'm seeing more of it. So because I have a threshold, I'm going to leave it at 30. Now the next one, as I slide up, is sharpening. Sharpening is beautiful. I do not have a threshold for it because sharpening sharpens my pictures. So I increase it till I'm satisfied with the sharpness that I'm getting. And this is just good enough for me. So, and that's for details. So I'm going to tap on the check mark, and then we're done. Then next we go to tools. After details, we go to curves. Curves works just as much as brightness. I call it the big sister to brightness. Now in curves, if you look, there's down below here, there's like an invincible graph, right? And the part that spikes up the most is the part that needs more light. Curves adds light to your picture. So I'm just going to tap on the part that spikes up the most. I'll tap on it, and I increase it just a little bit. There are some cases where you wouldn't really need the curve because your picture is bright enough, which is fine. You know, you don't have to use it, but I'm just using it in this case to show you how it works. If it was up to me, I'm not going to use curves because my picture is bright enough for me. Right, so you can see the spike up here. I just tap on it and increase it just a little tiny bit, and that's that for curves. So I'm going to tap on the check mark, and we're done for curves. To check our progress, we press on the picture and then release my finger. You see where we are heading. So it's looking really beautiful so far. Moving forward, tools. After we've done tune image, we've done details, we've done curves. Now there's white balance. White balance is not a necessary one to talk about. We have crop. Crop is also not unnecessary. We all know what crop does to crop your picture, you know, etc. You see what it does. You just need to adjust it. So down here, you have the sizes that you want the crop to be, being that 4:3, 5:4 are Instagram sizes if you want to resize, or 16:9, which is TikTok size. So I could decide that, oh, I really want to crop this, probably because it's too wide, it's too big. So I can do that. And we have our picture. So I've cropped out many dark corners already. So we all know what crop or how crop works. Next one, we have rotate. We know what rotate does, just to rotate your picture. The next most important one is selective. Selective is really important. You know, all this while when we're using tune image, details, curves, whatever we did to the picture, it affected every part of the picture, right? But what if we just wanted to work on selected parts of the picture? We don't want to work on the entire picture. We just want to fix a little problem that's going on somewhere in the picture and not just everything. So we're going to use selective. Selective is the tool to use to fix a part of a picture without affecting the rest or the other parts of the picture. Now, to use selective, we're going to tap on the area we want to fix. Let's say, for example, now the cake is still not as colorful as we want it to be, right? And the background is still dull at the top and at the bottom, right? So what I'm going to do is to tap on the cake first. You can see a small blue button. I'm not going to touch it again. I will leave it there as it is. Then I will swipe up, down, somewhere else. I'm not touching that button. I'm just swiping up, down, somewhere else. And like I said, I just want to fix the color of the cake. And I have 4 features here. I have brightness, I have contrast, I have saturation, and I have structure. So what is responsible for color? What is responsible for color is saturation. So I'm going to put my level to saturation, leave it there, and then I slide to the right. And then you see that the color is becoming more intense as I slide to the right. Now, there's no threshold for selective because I really do not know what is wrong with your own picture in your own case. So as long as you get it fixed, it's fine. So there's no threshold for selective. Now, I feel like this is too blue. I'm just going to take it back a little. And I'll tap on this plus sign at the bottom. I tap on it so that I can add another selective to fix another area. So I tap here and then I swipe up and down. I don't touch the button, remember. I swipe up and down, go to saturation and increase it so my pink becomes more obvious. I tap on the plus sign again, come here, you know, I'm just gradually fixing everything at a time. Increase my saturation, and that's good. I tap on the plus sign, I go to the background. I want the background to be brighter, so I increase the brightness, tap on the plus sign, go to this corner, leave that button there as it is. You know, if you swipe up and down, you're going to see all of these features. And then I leave it at brightness and I increase the brightness there. I tap on another plus sign, I come down here because it's quite dull. That's the brightness level. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to slide to the other level. That is brightness, and I think I'm done. So I'll tap on the check mark, and then we have this. To see our progress, we press down the picture. This was it before, and this is it now. Isn't it beautiful? So, after selective, we have healing. Healing is in such a way that you need to fix dents. You need to clean off some dirt in your pictures, maybe just some the handles fixes really. So I'm going to show you how it is done. So if I click on healing, now we're inside healing, right? Now to use this tool effectively, you would have to zoom into the location you want to fix, the dirt you want to remove, the tiny object you want to remove, whatever it is you want to smudge over and all of that. The first thing first I want to use healing for is the bottom of my picture. The bottom part of my picture looks like a corner and I don't want it to look like that. So I'm going to smudge over the bottom parts like this, and then you see that it is gone. Now to fix smaller sized items, for example, if I zoom in on this picture, you're going to see that the stand here, my lifter is quite dirty. So I'll just use my hand to smudge over it to clean off the dirt, so it is gone. You see, you just smudge over a little. Now if you do not zoom in, it will not work, so you have to zoom in to fix that. Great. Nice. and then you zoom out. Good. You can see. So you zoom in again to look for any small fixes that needs to be done. If you make a mistake, you can always undo. There's the undo button here. You undo it. Good. There's a small tiny piece here. I'll just clean it off. This one, clean it off, clean it off, clean it off. Just make it disappear. Good. Let's see if we can fix this. This huge dent here. Let's see if we can fix it. I'm just gonna smudge over it all at once. And I'm hoping for a miracle. Oh, 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 oh. Nope. Let me smudge this area. Then gradually, I go up. Gradually. Sometimes you just have to take your time to fix anything you need to fix with healing. Just have to take your time to do so. I just hope this doesn't look awkward. Let me zoom out. Okay, not bad. Let me zoom into this one too and smudge over it. Smudging completely over something to fix it works sometimes. This one, smudge completely. Oh, nope, it didn't work. So I'm just gonna take it gradually and do it gradually. Good. So zoom out. Wow, our cake is now in one piece. After so much trial and error, our cake is now in one piece. All right, so I'm just gonna tap on the check mark, and that's that. If there's any other thing we need to fix, if there's any dark corners you need to remove, any dirt, you just simply zoom in and remove that dirt. Good. I think we're done. So we just need to tap on the check mark, and ta-da! This is the before, and this is the after. I think we make some good progress. After healing, yes, last part is text. Come to the final one. The last part is text. So you want to tap on text, and you have different text templates down here, which some of them you see frequently on Instagram. You tap on this, you're going to see different kinds of text options. I usually prefer the line text option. Now this text gives you the opportunity to add the cost price of your product or your Instagram handle, your business name, or whatever information that you need to add. Now to write or to correct this, you just need to double tap and then you write your Instagram handle, you can shrink it to reduce the size. You can change the color from here to different colors. I'll just stick to black and that's it. So to save your picture, you tap on export and save. Now our picture is saved to your gallery. So it's going to create a folder in your gallery called Snapseed. So when you go to your folder in your gallery, you're going to see a Snapseed folder. And when you open it, let me show you. Snapseed, that's it. A Snapseed folder, right? You can see that. So if I tap on it, I'm going to see my picture there. See, that's our picture right there. Beautiful, right? So that's how to edit your pictures. I hope that this puts you on a fast track on how to edit your pictures, and I'm hoping that in the class I will give you the dark toned pictures so you can edit yourself, learning from what I've just done. Now, what you need to do to the dark tone photos is the intention is not to make the picture bright. The intention is to make the product, the pastry, bright enough to be visible, while every other thing will remain the same or will be reduced in terms of brightness. And remember that selective tool is the tool that allows you fix certain areas in your photo. So when you use, it means that in the dark toned picture, the dark tone photography, you're going to be using a lot of selective tool here to really tone down, to reduce the brightness of the background, so that the brightness of the food, the brightness in the food or the pastry will really pop. So that's the whole idea when you're editing dark mode food photography. So keep that in mind. Your purpose is to make your picture sharp, yes. But bright, no. Bright for the pastry and the food, yes. Bright for the background, no. Bright for the props, no. So you use a lot of selective to tone down the props, the background, like reduce the brightness of the background and the props. And then also use selective to increase the brightness of the pastries and the cake loaves, etc. And using other general tools as well. But I've explained to you how every single feature works and what they mean. If you still don't understand, kindly watch this video again, and I hope it's not too long for you to grasp. And feel free to feel free to ask your questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. Don't worry, I'm definitely going to reply, or you send me a message in the DM at Simbi_props. Yes, but feel free to ask your questions in the comments. I definitely reply. Thank you so much for watching.